Good morning, and welcome to episode 123 of Getting Rich. I'm your host, Rich Checkan, president of Asset Strategies International, and today is Wednesday, May 17th, 2023. Well, as we're all painfully aware, the headlines continue to be dominated by the talks over whether or not we will raise the debt ceiling in time to make sure that we don't default on any payments as a nation. Treasury Secretary Janet Yellen is out there continuing to beat the drum that this is potentially going to be the end of the world as we know it, with 45% drop in stock markets, a great recession, lack of confidence, markets around the world cracking if we don't figure things out, and very, very quickly. It reminds me of that scene in the original Ghostbusters where Bill Murray says cats and dogs are living in the street and we're going to have catastrophes of biblical proportions. Again, as I said last week, I don't see that happening. We always do this. Not we, the politicians always do this. They take this to the point of brakemanship, and then at the last hour they save the day after they've made all their points about what they would rather spend money on. But they raise the debt ceiling and they continue to spend more than we have. Even though the tone was very, very negative over the weekend, and even on Monday, as Senator McCarthy and President Biden both said that they thought we were very far apart from any sort of agreement. After meeting in the White House yesterday, just one day later, both came out seeming to think that they were still far apart, but that they were able to come to some sort of agreement even by the end of this week, let alone the June 1st deadline that Treasury Secretary Yellen keeps talking about. And against the backdrop of all that unrest and unsettled financial markets, precious metals are falling and the US dollar is rising, and that makes no sense whatsoever. Let's take a look at the prices from a week ago to today. Gold is down 1.8%, dipped below $2,000. It's at $1,989 an ounce from $2,026 an ounce last week. Silver plummeted 7% this past week to $23.77 from $25.56 last week. Platinum is down 1.1% to $1,086 an ounce from $1,098. And palladium is the big loser this week, down 7.6% to $1,530 an ounce from $1,656 an ounce last week. As you can imagine, with silver plummeting and gold drifting lower, the gold-silver ratio, the number of ounces of silver it takes to buy an ounce of gold, is up to 83.99 versus 79.54 last week. And the US dollar, as I mentioned, is surging over the past week to 102.97 from 101.67, still a far cry from where it was just third quarter of last year at 116 on the index. Bottom line, consumer sentiment right now, according to a Bank of America survey, is at the lowest levels in quite some time. We're seeing defaults on loans, both for homes and autos. We're seeing credit card usage hit levels that are unprecedented. Why? People are using their credit cards to pay their bills because they can't keep up with expenses. And against this backdrop, central banks are buying gold at a record pace, shedding dollars from their currency reserves and replacing them with gold. What does that tell you? Tells me we should be doing the same thing. As always, I'd like you to go ahead and subscribe to us, like us on our YouTube channel, follow our social media at Asset Strategies International, follow our newsletters and alert services. They're all free and they're worth every single penny, I promise you. But don't ever forget that getting rich starts with keeping what's yours.